Well, welcome back to All for United WFC. 5 played, 14 scored, 0 conceded, 10 different scorers. Should we just end the show there and that's it? Top of the league. And so we just leave it there, shall we? We've actually got some stuff to talk about, as we always have when we have these two brilliant people alongside me. So let's get into it. Let's just talk all about it. Let's hear your thoughts as well in the comments. If you've got anything to say on the game, be sure to get your questions in, your comments in, anything in between, as we look ahead to an important week now for United women, with that crucial game coming up on Sunday. We'll obviously touch on that later in the week properly, but let's start with you, Barry. Initial thoughts. Well, we both did the watch long yesterday, so I know roughly what you were thinking of the back of yesterday's game, but how are you feeling almost 24 hours on from yesterday's win?
Well, just pride, I think, was what I felt at the end. You know, I put a couple of tweets out there, but I think this idea that, as you've just said, played 5, won 5, 14 scored, none conceded. We can talk as much as we like about having not an easy run in, but, you know, games that we would expect to win. The difference is they're games that we would expect to win. And as you've put in the title for this, it's another draw turned into a win, something that we drew last year and is a win now. And I just think that's vital for confidence, because it sort of means really that whatever happens against the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea and City, we're putting ourselves into a good position, I think, for our assault on the top 3 and indeed the title this year. And I think, you know, these 2 games that we've got coming up now, Chelsea and Arsenal, they're going to be absolutely huge. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant. Love it.
Go on, Charlie. You were at the game. What was your initial thoughts watching it while you were there? What was the atmosphere like as well? Because obviously, when we were watching it, obviously on stream, the weather didn't look great and everything else. But what was it like being there and witnessing that again?
Yeah, weather wasn't great, but it was a good atmosphere. A fairly big crowd there, I think, for what you'd normally expect of Everton. So obviously, the Euros 2022 sort of train continues to roll on. So lots of people there. Good amount of United fans had made the journey, which was important. And it felt like a different sort of game to me. In lots of the games so far, we'd pretty much been allowed to have a lot of possession by the team we were playing. By the opposition, they just let us have the ball quite a lot and sort of said to us, go on then, try and break us down. Whereas with Everton, they're not really like that. They try and play football. So they wanted a bit more of the ball than the other teams we played, which required a bit of a different challenge. Hello, Beyonce, change of top. Which made it a different sort of challenge for us to come up against, which is really good. And I think to be on 15 points at this point, going into the Chelsea and Arsenal game, is massive. I think that's huge. It really ups the ante even more. So please, you just carry on, Bazza.
I was wondering what you were talking about, because I wasn't even on the StreamYard tab. I was looking at something else.
Jesus, stop. Off camera, I might add.
Yes, absolutely.
There we are. We've had a quick change live on air. That's
I know. It's happened before, has it? This will wind Benny up big time, because this is a Stevenage top. It's not not a United one, but I've got that. So
there we go. I'd like to everyone see everyone commented already. There's a comment about Maria. We are going to get to Maria in a little bit, because I feel like she definitely deserves to be spoken about as an individual kind of topic. So we'll get to Maria in a second. I want to start with the goals. Let's talk through the goals, because I think this is going to be the quickest part, I think, of the show before we look at the back line and everything else. Talk us through the first goal then, Barry, because we were chatting a little bit backstage. Not too much to say about the finish. It's pretty open. But how would you kind of look at that? Was it more in the build-up and the kind of the header across that led to that goal?
Massively so. I mean, I think the ball was from Zellum initially into the box. And it's just naivety from the goalkeeper as well. She's come out to try and claim it, which is a really silly thing to do when you've got a defender on a defender. In that sort of situation, really, she needs to stay on the line, and she chose not to. Came out. Galton's obviously got above both of them. And as we say, she never gives the ball away. So the header comes down. Nikita Parris, back stick. We say it would, it was impossible to miss. But I've seen some clangers in my lifetime. I mean, you're probably too young to remember, but I remember Ray Houghton for Liverpool. Just miles and miles of empty space between him and the goal. And he hit the crossbar. And I'm 99% sure Ryan Giggs had a very similar thing as well, where he just lamped it over the bar with an open goal. So it's not always easy, but really good to see Nikita playing with that confidence, really, and slotting it home. And that's 3 goals, top goal scorer for the club. And as I said on the day, it just goes to show, that's what we paid the money for. That's why we paid the big bucks. There she is, doing her job.
Indeed, we might actually we might do a show on that over the international break if people want to see that, because Jamie Spencer's done a good article today on proving her doubters wrong already. It's quite early to say that. There's still a long way in the season to go, but she's certainly done better already, I think, than people had a doubt for. Joseph there, Charlie, I saw you on camera during the game. You were... I'm
hoping that's this.
Yeah.
This.
As I was reading that comment...
Look at thick skin.
We did see you quite a few times, actually, on TV. They were panning on you and Shane.
Yeah, right behind the goal. Barry, you're just ahead.
I love it when I do this. I feel like that geezer in Beetlejuice. You know, the one with the really tiny head and the massive body right at the end as it's Halloween. I feel like him.
Don't know what's going on there. But, Charlie, what was your kind of thoughts on the Paris goal then? And also, that's a 3rd goal now already. Like I said, we're going to maybe do a show on this in a couple of weeks' time. But, like I said, I'm under the illusion, like I said, it'll be harder to to miss, I think, from that position. But the long ball into goal and heads it across, and right place, right time, isn't it, for that one?
Yeah, I think the key thing there is she's anticipating the knockdown, isn't she? So that's like the football intelligence thing. It'd be easy not to make the run and just expect Galton to do something else with it. Galton did really well, I think, because the defender was the right side of her. But she just out-muscled her and out-jumped her, which was really good. But it's all to do with anticipating that happening, which is what Parris did, which is important. Obviously, Zellum saw Galton make the move, and Parris was anticipating the knockdown to put it away really well. And Barry's right. It was, from where we were perspective, it looked like the angle was perhaps tighter than it was, but we've seen people hit those wide or hit them across the face of the goal. So it was really well taken. And it was early doors as well, which was important. And then that sort of set the precedent, really, because Everton aren't a team, I don't think now, who are going to try and sit back and then think, oh, well, we just don't want to get battered. Us scoring that goal made them come out a little bit more, made them do more, which then helped us out a little bit later on as well, creating more space for us.
No, indeed, it's hard to disagree with what you two have said on that one. Yeah, I'm not going to dissect the goal anymore. I don't think I need to. But I think there's a couple of comments about Zellum's passing, and it was Zellum's pass into Galton that kind of knocked it across for Parris. And it is, like you say, it's the anticipation. It's being there at the right time to be able to slot that in. Moving on to the second goal, then it was Ladd's pass into Leah. And Leah kind of cut inside, sent the defender the wrong way. A little bit naive, if I think, from the defender's point of view, getting sent that easily to the outside. You're always taught as a fullback or as a defender, show them to the outside. And from an Everton point of view, I'd feel a little bit. I'd be critical if that was the other way around, put it that way. But nonetheless, Barry, another goal for Leah, and good finish as well on that one, wasn't it? Into the bottom corner.
Brilliant. Again, I mean, the vision from Ladd, really, really good. Right from the centre of midfield, puts the ball through, easy for Galton to collect. But she had it really hard at that point. There were a good 4 or 5 people around her. And she's just, we said it was a magician earlier on. It was Zellum, wasn't it, on the comment saying that she was a magician. I felt a little bit like Galton was as well, because she just had them hypnotised with that ball. And, she literally sent them one way, drop of the shoulder, nice little jinks and tricks. And she gets herself into the box. Like you say, I think defensively, if I was the defensive coordinator, sorry, I went all NFL on you. But no, if I was coaching the defending, I'd be quite annoyed at that, because she shouldn't be allowed to get the shot off. But she did. And, from an attacking point of view, like you say, sent them the wrong way. A bit like the goalie, shouldn't have come out for the first one. Defenders should have done better and stood them up a bit more. But no, a superb shot, as you said, sort of from the outside of the boot into the bottom corner. And she's deadly if you give her time like that. And didn't take her long at all. So, yeah, lovely to see Leah get another goal.
No, it's important for that as well. There's a lot of comments about her kind of work rate and great kind of dribbling leading up to that goal. I'm just going to bring this comment up on screen and just say, I didn't say this. I'm not going to agree or disagree, but just so people don't come for me saying I've got an agenda. But
I agree. I think the reason she didn't get in the squad, unfortunately for Katie Zellum, Kira Walsh exists.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And Georgia Stanway exists. Like, she's a really good footballer. We saw it a couple of times at the game. It was Deborah that I was next to and Shane, where Zelen played the pass. She's almost like one step ahead at times, and then the attackers wouldn't quite make the run. Like, I saw a couple of times that Zelen made brilliant through balls that Parris didn't anticipate, and Parris looked really annoyed at herself and looked at Zelen almost apologetically, like, I'm sorry, I didn't realise that's what was going to happen, because it happened so quickly. And yeah, we're not saying she's a perfect footballer, that none of them are. They have all their faults. You could argue that when the opposition break quickly, she sometimes struggles with that because she's not the quickest, but there are other really positive things that she offered. And we saw that again yesterday, I think.
We said about her at Durham as well. You know, when you watch her, you've got all the subs warming up, but every time she's warming up, she's looking at what's going on the pitch. She's not sitting there, you know, having a laugh and a joke with whoever it is she's warming up with. She's paying attention to everything that's going on in the game, paying attention. You know, I have this with the kids at school all the time. You know, when they come to play football, if there's a tournament, they don't watch the other teams that are playing. They can go off and have a little kickabout because, you know, heaven forbid they should stand still for 10 minutes and watch what's going on. But it's important, I think. And it didn't happen by a lot of people. But I get annoyed with this word agenda because people make it out as if you've got this agenda for a certain player. But actually, if you take a look at the big teams, take a look at your Chelseas, your Arsenals, all that. Do you think Chelsea fans are sitting there going, oh, I can't turn around and say that Sam Kerr is a fantastic player? Oh, people think I've got an agenda for Sam Kerr. Oh, Miedema. Oh, no. God, we must have an agenda for... No, they don't. And that's because they celebrate their talent. And I don't understand why anyone who's a Man United fan would have a go at you for celebrating your talent. Mad.
No, fair points. I do agree with TJ's comment. No, I do think there are certain people that do, but we'll move on because this could get quite into a different kind of conversation. I don't want it to go down when we're celebrating a 3-0 win. Just a quick, I think you might have already answered it in the chat though, Charlie. I think it was aimed more at you because you were the only one there. Was the win much of a factor as it looked? I think you
it was. There was a corner early doors, which was sort of deathly silenced because of Zelens, because it went straight out, which was the wind. And there were a couple of times that Mary had to took long goal kicks, or she received the ball and didn't have an option at the back, so kicked it long and it just came halfway back. So we had to sort of adapt to that, but we did that really well. So it ended up, it was a problem initially, but then we adapted to suit it. So it was fine in the end.
That's fair enough. And it is same for both teams, but I do think there is a factor in that if it's against you. You've just got to play into it sometimes. But then there's that annoyance when you try and play into the wind and that one gust of wind doesn't happen when you're expecting it to, and it's just a nightmare. But anyway, there we are. Let's move on to the third goal then before we start diving into kind of specifics about individual players and all kind of things. We will do our player of the match poll in a second. I'll stick the 4 names in the chat for you guys to vote on if you bear with me about 3-4 minutes time. But Barry, the third goal then. Bit of conversation in terms of whether the pass was meant for Ladd, but it did find her in the end. And it's a great finish on the edge of the box. It's another player, another midfielder as well. It's just everyone's chipping in with goals at the moment. I think that's the key takeaway I took from this.
Oh, you want to talk about takeaways now? Okay. Hard work trying to get it still quiet yesterday. Chinese, Indian, couldn't care less, Barry. Nah. Let's watch the football, mate. No, we had when we were watching the game, I said it wasn't Parris, was it? Who had the ball on the right hand side? Was it Garcia? I think it was Garcia. Yeah. And she's put the ball across. And I don't think it was meant for Ladd. I think it was just pulled a little bit behind the player that it was meant to be for. I forget who it was, I'm afraid. I haven't watched it since yesterday. But the ball just gets to Ladd at the edge of the box, which is where she should be. You know, this is where you want your centre midfielders to be, hanging around near the edge of the box when we're attacking. And she just lets rip. Absolutely lets rip. And it's on target. And that's really all you want, because if it's on target, there's a chance that the goalie's going to parry it, and there's going to be somebody there who can then chase in and gamble. That's what you want from your central midfielders. And that's exactly what she did. Gets it on target, sweeps it in, sweet finish. Could the goalie have done better? Possibly. But I think you can't take anything away from Ladd, really. And as you said, I mean, you said 10 different scorers. That's just in the WSL. We've got 12 different scorers over the whole season at the moment. And it just reminds me, I'm sure there was a Man United season where almost everybody in the squad scored a goal through the whole season. And I think that's kind of where we're getting at now. We want everybody to get in on the act, and that can be so important. We talk about Russo getting double figures, but actually if you've got your midfielders and everybody else, defenders, chipping in and getting some goals, you don't need one person to go out and break all the scoring records. So absolutely delighted. Brilliant.
No, 100%. If people haven't watched the vlog that Charlie did yesterday, Ellie did say 3-0, I'm pretty sure. So, yes, smashed it on that one, Ellie. So, congrats to you there. Go on, Charlie. That goal right in front of you then. It must have been quite the sight to see that flying to the top corner. Like I said, I've just watched it back. Yeah. It's almost like a ricochet off Garcia into
Garcia. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think it hits the Everton defender and hits back at Garcia and then just ends up falling really nicely for Ladd. It was a brilliant goal. We actually thought it might have been a missed kick at first just because of how it looped in. But actually, yeah, you're quite right. When you watch it back, she's clearly she's done that deliberately. And what a brilliant goal. There's a bit of nonchalance, a bit of arrogance about that, about scoring a goal like that, which I really like, particularly from so far back in the box. Just looped over the keeper, nestled in the top left-hand corner. But yeah, it was brilliant. A strong reaction, incredible scenes actually from the Man United fans. And again, that capped off a really good performance from her. Other than having the assist, which is obviously part and parcel of what she's there for as a midfielder, is to get on the score sheet, but also create for the people. Again, Hayley Ladd had a really good performance. I think in the Duff game against Durham, she was one of the players who did stand out as having quite a good game, and that carried on over into this game. She kept things ticking over. She won the ball back well. She played it well. She played it forward. She got us up and running quite a lot of the time. So yeah, really pleased. And I also like her. The good thing about her or Jane Moore playing is that it allows Zellum to be in a bit more of a comfortable position, I think, further up the pitch. So you see more of the benefits from her as well. So yeah, good performance from Hayley Ladd all round and a brilliant goal. My favourite goal, just because it's a bit arrogant, isn't it? I like that from a Man United player.
No, 100%. I can see, Lanzo, just in response to your Vilda question, I'll come back to that in a little bit once we've discussed some of the other players. There's a bit of discussion, because I have put the player of the match poll in the chat. There's a bit of discussion why Maria's not on that list. So we always have a little deliberation in terms of the four names, and Maria was the one we were kind of she for me, I don't know whether it was hard, put it that way, to pick four, I think, for this one, because somebody was going to miss out. Either one of the goal scorers or like Maria, as people have put in the chat. You could throw some other names in there as well. So we had to pick four. Unfortunately, Maria has missed out on this list. But if you think she was player of the match, by all means stick it in the comments, and we'll get back to that in a little bit when we look at the poll results and talk a little bit about that. We might as well stick with Maria then, because I want to talk about her and kind of the performance that she had, because she got a lot of criticism after Leicester, playing predominantly as on the right-hand side, switched to left on Wednesday night against Durham and played as left back again yesterday. Barry, how would you kind of sum up her week, really? Because like I said, she got heavy criticism last Sunday, did okay on Wednesday night against Durham, and it was a brilliant performance against a good attacking players as well that Everton have got.
You know, the problem that we've got as fans is that we're never there. We don't really see what happens behind the scenes. We don't see training. We don't see those conversations. And, you know, when we think about it, you know, obviously Honor was injured in the game against Brighton, and Thor literally came on for the last few minutes. I would imagine in my head that Thor was not training as a right back until Onabache got injured. I think the minute she gets injured, the coaching staff then start thinking, this is bad, it's a concussion, she's going to be out for a few games. What's the plan? And my guess is they take it game by game, but I'm sure they would have looked over the week and the 2 weeks to see the road back to Chelsea, basically. And I think then that they think, well, what do we do? And I think what they've done is they've built her up as a right back. So there's obviously been a lot of training happening, which would explain why it is that for Leicester wasn't so great. But then she's just got better as she's gone along, because obviously she's had more training in that position. And she was absolutely brilliant. I thought she really did play well. As we said, Jess Park didn't get anywhere near her. She ended up having to swap sides, which was superb. So yeah, I think Thor did really, really, really well. And it's nice to see her do that. And this is good. It's funny, I was watching a thing from Rio Ferdinand before we came on where he was talking about Ronaldo blanking Gary Neville and saying how, you know, if he was a player getting this sort of critique, he'd potentially pie them off as well. That was his words, not mine. And say, you know, that's it, I'm not talking to you. But he also said he'd use it as fuel for the fire. And I would hope that if Thor was hearing any murmurings in the game against Leicester, that she's just used that as fire. And if she has, then she's done really well, because she could quite easily have been in the top four, or top Thor for our player of the match.
I knew that was coming. I absolutely knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, I can't help it. You should see it when Jade Moore comes on. And she plays 4. That's it. I can't help myself. But yeah, that's my take.
Go on, Charlie. What's your thoughts on Maria's performance? Like, I guess same question as I just asked Barry. Her kind of week as a whole, because as Barry said, she got a lot of stick after Leicester. And I thought she was okay against Durham, but then a really good performance to kind of cap off this week.
Yeah, I think it's her best performance for the week by a mile. I think the first game, the Leicester game, was always going to be tough because she was replacing Honor, who was irreplaceable. She's not the same sort of footballer, is she? She's not your fullback who's used to running up and down the length of the pitch and creating things and taking on opposition midfielders and defenders. And then Durham, everyone was crap. Everyone's crap against Durham. Like, literally everyone was crap. So we can't sort of pin that on her. But she had to do it feels like against Leicester and Durham, the expectation was she would get forward quite a lot and create those overlapping runs. And that's not really, for me, I might be wrong, that's not who she is as a footballer. Whereas against Everton, although she was playing fullback again, the job she had to do was quite different. So her job was to keep a lid on Jess Park. So just stick to her, hustle her, win the ball off her, tackle her, make her life difficult. And that's what she did really, really well. To the point Barry's right, where Jess Park was having to swap sides because she wasn't getting any joy there. And I also think Thor was probably better off as the left back, because having Leah in front of her, who does a lot more tracking back and a lot more going up and down the pitch, I think that helps her as well. That was probably a better pairing than Torres Dottir Garcia link up, which is what we'd been seeing against Leicester, which maybe wasn't so suited to what Thor was being asked to do. But yeah, she had a really good game. It said she was the one we were deliberating over, wasn't she? It was her or Mary, but I think Mary made a couple of cracking saves, which was the difference maker, really. Maria did the job that we needed her to do, no more, no less.
No, sorry, I 100% agree with that. I'm sorry, but Barry has kind of stolen your little segment here with what he started in the comments. So it started off with this. It started off with this initially.
No, I didn't start it. Thank you.
Well, you did. TJ's aiming it at you, so I'm gonna. You're on
just
the
had
panel,
a little bit of tennis.
So then it went to this.
Nice.
And then Barry went in with tuning.
Yeah, I was tuning out.
Then I'm assuming that's not aimed at any of us. I think that's aimed
it. It is quite big, and it says Bazza's pint. He may be small, but I'm not a half pint.
Like a tankard.
It is like a
tankard.
It is like a tankard.
But there we go. So we've also got Thoring from Ellie and Gold. That one's a common one. And then Barry just to end it off. Head was Thor after that one header. Deary me. It's
look, that's the actual size. Look. I can't see it as well. Never mind.
Blends into your background, but anyway, there we are. But no, yeah, it is hard to disagree with what you were saying on Maria, and especially as you said, the more the mental side to come back after the kind of criticism that she had against Leicester. She knew that she was going to be thrown in again against Durham, which is physical and on a difficult pitch as well, and then to play again, like I said, against an attack that is very strong. Everton did create chances, but not down Maria's side. Certainly not in the first half. And we saw, I think John put it in the comments earlier, Park having to change sides because she wasn't getting any joy out of Maria. So she had to go and test out Blundell's side. So yeah, I think that's testament to Maria and fair play to her for the performance after the week that she's had. I think, like I said, people underestimate the mental side. She reads a lot on social media, as a lot of the players do. So yeah, fair play to her for coming back and yeah, solid performance. And I think it just begs the question in terms of where we see her in the kind of pecking order that we've got in defence, because she's obviously not going to start as our starting fullbacks. But is there a place now, Mannion's still to come back into this as well, that potentially Maria is higher up the list than maybe we thought? Tunkara has not had too many minutes yet. Maybe Maria is the kind of first choice rotation that we've been seeing. Certainly after that performance, I don't think many would disagree. I can see Charlie's kind of thinking about it. I don't know whether.
It's nothing. It's nothing anti her at all. But I just think I think it might have been is it John Fry said ages ago that we'd made lots of signs, but obviously still looked a bit light at fullback. Was something to go wrong? And unfortunately, something has gone wrong, and Honor's been out, and Thor's our option just because she's done that before. I don't think that moves up the pecking order for centre back. I still don't think that's the case. I think probably Tunkara's still ahead of her, and when Aoife comes back, I'd imagine that's the same. But she's just got to make the most of the opportunity she's got. She's got to give Mark Skinner pause for thought, and that's what we want from our players as our subs and our bench, isn't it? We want them to create a situation where Skinner's got to make a decision. She had a good performance, but I imagine that Honor should be back. Could have been back this week, but I think Mark said he's been cautious, so she'll go straight back in. Hannah Blundell will play, is what I'm expecting. Is going to happen straight away. I
think John Fry's got that spot on. Maria will be a utility defender and mostly a fullback. Yeah, John O'Shea, absolutely, that sort of player, someone who can fit in wherever you need them to. But I think that's where she's likely to be at fullback. That's become quite clear. We might have fullback. So,
yeah. Fair points. And Lanzal, in regards to your comment here, Tunkara will come in, make her own. Tissier doesn't look like she doesn't. But yeah, I can leave words out. Tissier looks like she doesn't want to be a fullback. I don't think. Yeah, I go back to my comments before we signed her. She came in to play centre half. I think she can play fullback. As there's a couple of players that can change positions, but off the performances, and we're going to talk about that centre back partnership in a moment. She's looked comfortable there anyway, so I don't see why you'd swap her out. Slater's in the comments saying Marie was far better in the last week, but I'd still rather Maya moved out wide and bring Tunkara in with fullback covers needed. Yeah, it's a fair shout. Like I said, Maya can play out there and has certainly proved it with her time at Brighton that she's more than capable there. I want to just flick over to the other Norwegian in our squad, just while we're talking about Maria. I want to flick over to Vilda just for 1 second before we look at the two centre halves and talk a little bit about Mary as well. Charlie, I want to come to you first because me and Barry briefly touched on this at the end of yesterday's watch long. Vilda again was one of the last subs to come on, not many minutes again. What do you think's going on there? Because she's back in the Norway squad, so that's a positive. There was obviously some talk from the Norway coach that she might need to move away.
Yes, she was lying.
But where do you see this? Because we are winning games, but it is a little bit, you kind of look at it in terms of what's going on there, because we didn't see her much last season. We're now not seeing her. She's almost like fourth or fifth choice sub now when she's coming on. How are you kind of see it? Are you a little bit annoyed by it? Do you not really care too much about it? How do you see it?
Well, I'm not annoyed by it because we're winning. So I imagine that she's off. That's what I think it must be. And also I think the fact that she's not really getting a look in when we can all probably agree that Tooney's not at her best at the moment. And that's probably the most likely. If you think Ladd and Zellum are going to play, that's the space for Vilda, and she's still not being brought on. I know she scored against Durham. I've been sort of a bit of an advocate for Vilda, particularly last year, sort of wanting her to have more opportunities. But to be perfectly honest, I'd probably say when she's I know we can't count yesterday because it wasn't very long, but the other opportunities she's had, I don't know if she's done enough to push out one of our other players that would play in that position. I don't think. So I imagine she will be off sooner rather than later. If someone wants her or will meet her wage demands or whatever else it might be.
That's the comment, and I think that's the question why I bring this up, because I think if you're winning, it doesn't really make too much difference. But that's the question for me. But obviously, Stanley's coming in ahead of her, and if it's a one-off, you can kind of go, okay, whatever. But this is every game now we're seeing this.
Yeah,
almost.
That's the one that surprised me yesterday. I would have. See, again, there's still clearly within the squad, there's still another transfer window or two for us to go through, isn't there, to get everything perfect. You can't do it all at once. But yeah, that's what I was going to say, what you've just said from Slater there. Hard to complain when you're winning, but yeah, I think I would probably bring Vilda in over Lucy Staniforth, who I think has struggled when she's played so far this season. But I'm not making the decision, so it looks ominous for Vilda, I think. We don't know. She might have expressed the fact that she wants to leave, and if that's the case, then you're probably not going to get that much game time.
I feel that Mark long term sees Grace Clinton as the one who will not replace Tooney, but
create the competition.
Correct, absolutely. And so as a result, you've got those two people. The problem is that Grace is injured. So if Tooney doesn't play, it's who does it? And obviously it's Vilda is the player that goes on. And again, she's been all right. She's not a bad player. You hear Skinner after the game, she just sort of lightly touches the ball in. She didn't leather it. She's got skill on the ball. All those sorts of things. He waxed lyrical about her after Durham. And then not on the starting lineup and not one of the early substitutions. So, it doesn't look great. But as Charlie says, I think we know, and I think the players know as well, if I'm brutally honest, that there are some that are probably not going to make it out of this season, still wearing the red of Manchester United. And, that's the way football goes. Unfortunately, there is going to have to be new players that come in. And, I think for Bo Risa, she's got to fight for it if she wants it. And if she gets it, great. But if not, she needs to do what Phil Jones has done, really work hard and earn contracts, I suppose.
Yeah, it's fair points, and John's raised the point. What happens next season when Fuso comes back, because she also signed an extension as well as the loan. I don't know how. Well, I speak to some people in Germany, and I don't think Leverkusen as a team are doing very well. So I don't know how particularly Fuso's doing. But when you're looking at it there, it's just strange to me. It's an interesting one when you sign a player of that caliber that a lot of clubs in Europe were after, to not be playing her. But as all the comments have said and other people have said, we're winning games. So at the moment, you can't really complain too much. If we start losing and she's still not playing, I think you could kind of go, try something a bit different here. But we're top of the league with, won every game, not conceded. So I don't think that argument should be brought up too much yet. But I just thought it was a little talking point from yesterday's game. Mark's in the comments as well. So hello to you. When Jackie was injured and she played those 3 or 4 games, she was brilliant. But once Jackie was fit, she was back on the bench, which is unfair. I agree with that. She did have a good run at the Brighton away game as well. She had a good run in the side. And I think that's where I feel a little bit sorry for her, because then she got pulled out of the side and we haven't really seen her since. So a little bit unfortunate. But at the end of the day, she wasn't a Mark Skinner signing. So you got to take that into account as well. What's everyone else saying on this one before we move on to the centre backs? I think Fuso, Hansen, Stanley are gone by next season, especially if we get Champions League. Maybe. You always see in women's football a kind of turnover of players anyway. So we're going to see 3-4 players leave next summer, but it's who those players are. And Mark, in response to you, Barry, Phil just robbed his career.
Well, I know what you said. What did Mark say? Missed it. Sorry, I was looking at something. Phil Jones robbed a career as a football. Blimey. He doesn't get to play the game anymore. He just gets kicked about. No wonder he was a bit upset, bless him. Just getting kicked about all the time.
Indeed. But there we are. And yes, 100% agree with that. Players need to push on development.
Yes,
That's the comment to end that little discussion, I think, there. So we'll move on to the centre-backs in terms of more of it, looking at yesterday's game and the importance all season, because everyone has said, and I think there's been a lot of discussion of this in the comments as well, when Honor's out or Hannah's out, Maya should be moved to fullback. We've not seen that just yet in the league. So I just want to ask you both the importance of that centre-back partnership. We're going to talk about Earps in a little second. But Barry, those two together, that Tissier on the right, Turner on the left, that partnership, is that now going to be our number one for the season? You kind of see rotation in that. We all expected Tunkara to come in and be that, but at the moment we've not conceded. So just talk us through those two and how good those two have been together.
I will do that. I just wanted to update everyone on the Bayer Leverkusen Nirvana Fuso thing. She's played 3 games, 247 minutes, and done not a lot other than that, other than be substituted out. So just thought I'd throw that one out there for you. With regards to our defence, there's part of me that's a little bit annoyed. And the reason being is for this, because we've got Mary in goal, we've got Maya, we've got Maria, we've got Mannion, and then, on the left, you've just got Blundell, Hannah. We need an air for her. But yeah, I think Mary, Millie, and Maya, M. Brilliant. Love them. They are absolutely super. And as much as we talk about how much we as fans would love to see Maya move to the fullback slot, the simple fact is she's absolutely rocking it at centre-back at the moment. And when you've played 5 games and you've not conceded a goal, changing that defence, and the only thing that's changed is your fullbacks, you need that little triangle, that little triumvirate of players at the back to stay the same. And I would say that Mannion being fit, Tunkara, maybe that's why she's not been pulled into the centre-back slot at the moment, because, it's like the poison chalice, isn't it? If you make that one change to that little trio, and then all of a sudden we start conceding, it's not the greatest thing to do. So for me, Maya and Millie are going to be the 2 centre-backs, and you need Mary at the back. And, it's vital because they get to know how each other play. And it's all about that spine. You've got that Katie Zellum in front of them, so they know that Katie Zellum's going to do Katie Zellum things in front of them. And then with that, Toonie in front of her, and the ability that we know that she's got, even if it is only in flashes at times so far this season. And then, of course, Rusa up the top, and we all know how dangerous she is. And when you've got that spine and, the people on the flanks are working to help with that, it's absolutely spot on. So, this is what Skinner talked about, and I completely agree. So, yeah, for me, we don't change Mary and Millie, as Mark says, unless there's either an injury or something, major changes.
And Charlie, for yourself, because I think this is the key point, that they are both great ball playing defenders. I think that is the key. The fact that we've seen Maya's passing range and Millie Turner's as well. That being able to play that long ball but also play it safe, I think, is why that partnership is working. They're both solid defenders, but they offer so much in generating attacks as well, especially when Honor's on the right.
Oh yes, do you want me to comment on that?
Yes, go on.
Sorry. Yeah, what I find really interesting about those two as a pair and Mary behind, and like when we're watching, like at the game yesterday, we were like having panic attacks about it all the time. There's no need. Is that they're pretty press resistant, I think, because in Everton were pressing quite a lot from the front. Whenever Mary played the ball out to one of our centre backs, that was clearly the trigger for Everton. And then Benison was coming forward, Jess Part was coming forward, and we as fans were worrying about it. But they just beat it every time. So Maya, Mary, and Millie, because Mary also comes out. She's part of the build-up play. She's not just a keeper standing on a line or hoofing it forwards. And that's incredibly important, because if you're able to play out of that press, you're taking loads of your opposition players out of the game immediately. Because as soon as you make that first good pass to beat the press, 2 or 3 opposition players are gone. They're not in the game. And that's really important. I think someone to put about us not being the tallest centre-back pairing, but we could also, that doesn't matter, does it? Some of the best defenders aren't incredibly tall. It's to do with anticipation and positional play and reading the game. And they both do that really well. We see that in the men's and women's sides at the moment, don't we? The height isn't everything. But yeah, I think they're critical. And also a good thing about Everton as well is being at the game is so close. So when you look at that 3, they're so vocal as well. Always watching what's happening, always talking to each other, always talking to the fullbacks, which is particularly impressive from Maya, who is so young and has come into an environment that is competitive and expectation is so high, and she's just flourishing. Because I think we might have forgiven her if it had taken a while to settle in. I think there we go. We might have forgiven her, but they've been phenomenal, and I wouldn't change it. I think to change it at this point will be madness, and I'm excited, might be the wrong word. I'm cautiously optimistic to see how they get on as a centre-back pairing against the likes of Sam Kerr next weekend.
There was a comment a bit further up about Sam Kerr and Harder. We'll talk definitely more about that on Friday and the prospects of that. I want to
Millie's not exactly small. Sorry.
Go on.
Millie's
Turner
not
and
exactly
Mayer
small.
She's not exactly. No, she's not exactly small, but Mayer's small, isn't she? Ish.
Yes.
But they're also quick. They're quick defenders as well, which helps. But again, it's just how they read the play. They anticipate what's going to go wrong. They're part of the build-up. Like, how many times have we seen Millie since she's come back gallivanting up the pitch, just so confident with the ball at her feet? And that's what we missed. We missed that in the second half of last season, is the ability to be part of the attacks. We didn't have that from our centre backs, and we do now. We have that back again, which is key.
Just rounding off this centre-back talk then, because there's a couple of comments that let's not forget Aoife. To be honest, I don't think she makes it back into the starting 11. I think she like any player coming back from injury, I think she's got to work her way back in. But
Three at the back. Three at the back. Connor and Leah Galton.
No, why would you do that? Why are we making changes to what's working?
I don't know.
Who's doing that?
Allowed to talk about it.
There
you go. Answer that question then, somebody. If you question the
power, the pairing that's there now. I mean, can we just get away from this dead horse that we're flogging? No goals conceded, first 5 games. Job done. We keep a clean sheet against Chelsea. That's it. They're my centre backs for the rest.
Then it's a different story. If we keep a clean sheet against Chelsea, then oh god, yeah.
Yeah, but if we don't, that doesn't all of a sudden make them awful.
Imagine.
Does it?
Well, depends how many they concede. I reckon Brighton's centre backs right now are a little bit worried about their reputations. We don't want to.
But that was embarrassing, wasn't it?
There's embarrassing and there's that. And yes, it is fun to talk about tinkering. Of course it is. But my point is that the best one that's not conceded, you look at the other ones when we've had them. Tunkara's played. And when we made those changes, we've conceded in the game against Aston Villa. We conceded 2 in the game against Durham. This centre-back partnership has worked incredibly well with Mary in goal as well. And I think, as I said, that triumvirate is very important. So
the only change on that back line is Honor coming in. That's the only change you need to make.
Correct.
Indeed. I'll leave the poll up for a couple more minutes if you want to get your votes on that, or if you disagree. There was a lot of shouts from Maria earlier on when we talked about our kind of player of the matches. Make sure you get that in the comments in a second. Charlie, coming back to you then, with the third player in this little triangle that Barry was talking about there, Mario. So someone we were speaking about backstage, made a couple of great saves again. Me and you did a show with Phil O'Connor just after the Euros, talking about the Lioness girls and the fact that they're going to come back different players. And one of the players that we spoke about was Mary. And the fact that she's going to come back now a completely different player than when we had her pre-Euros. Just talk me through her kind of performances. 5 clean sheets, obviously, everybody knows we've just spoken about with the back line. But again, didn't have much to do, but had to make key saves and kept that clean sheet alive again.
She is the best. She is the best keeper in the WSL, and she's up there across Europe. She's phenomenal. And she made massive improvements last season, and she's even better this season. And I think for me, the sign of a really good keeper is when you don't have to do very much. So you have to maintain your concentration levels. And again, 2 or 3 seasons ago, that might have been something that we said Mary also wasn't great at, is maintaining concentration. But then this season again, as soon as the opposition get 1 chance, she makes the save. She did it against Leicester when it looked like they had an opportunity. It was Gabby George who got through and took a shot, which I think that was one Mary saved with her feet, which would have made it 1-1. So we're limiting opposition to chances, but when they get to them, Mary is incredible. So she claims crosses, she claims set pieces. She's a good shot stopper, whether it's screamers from outside the box or players running in. She commands the box. You can hear her all the time. She is always talking to that back line and marshalling it. She's absolutely amazing. And she walked with even more of a swagger than she did before. Oh, hello, Andy Slater. You've just said the exact same thing.
I'm sorry. Oh, Barry's killed me off. I'm not going to be able to get comparison back. Go on, Barry. Take it away. Talk to us.
Mary Earps, baby. Mary Earps, whoa. She is, without a shadow of a doubt, the best goalkeeper, I think, in Europe. She's won the Euros. Wouldn't you agree?
The stratosphere.
She's been unreal. And I think for me, the biggest change is how she has chosen to behave. I still can't believe he's not back. He's probably gone. But it's the change in attitude. Do you remember the interview that Skinner gave, where he was saying that as he looks at her in the tunnel for the England game, it's just focus, absolutely dead-eyed focus. And I think that's what she is. She's just so focused on what's going on that there is nothing, absolutely nothing that gets back, nothing that can break his concentration. He's back. What do you think of Mary, more importantly, Connor? You asked the question.
For the rest of the show. Dear me. No, I agree, because I think I was one of the ones that maybe didn't put her as highly up there as I think other people maybe did. But certainly, you know, everyone can see her quality. But I certainly agree. Since the Euros, she's come back a completely different player and is now right up there, as you said, Charlie, with Europe's best now. And I think that's what we've got now. We've got that solid defensive line, I feel. Just add a couple more players in depth positions for fullback. And I think you don't need to look at that area anymore. You can start looking at the rest of the team and areas you need to improve.
She's so calming as well. She's dead calm. Like, she just calms everything down as well. You can see her doing that. She knows when to take the sting out of the game. She knows when to play the pass really quickly. She's just matured massively, and part of that will be the experience that she's had with England during the Euros. But this has been building. I think this has been building for the last couple of seasons. She's been making improvements to her game. Let's talk about the footwork there that she has. That was a bit of an issue, and it's not now. Her distribution is amazing. If you watch her, how often she hits a Man United, hits a red shirt from a goal kick is incredible as well.
Mm-hmm. And you said about taking the sting out of the game. We said as well that, you know, there was times when the cross would come in and when we were just under the cosh a little bit. Grabs the ball, falls down on it. She does that fall. Marriott just lies there, has a little look around. What's going on? Yeah, no problems. It's all good. She just commands calmness at the moment. And as I said to you during the watch along, Connor, just imagine what that was like a year ago. A year ago, pretty much to the day, we had that miscommunication with Maria. And it just ended up being in a position where actually we didn't command that confidence. At the moment, we've got a really confident back line. And, you know, if anything should give us confidence going into the Chelsea game, it's that. You know, it's not overconfidence. It's just that we're in a good position with it. And I think even conceding one goal doesn't necessarily change that for this side. So they should be really chuffed with themselves. They really should.
No, 100%. It's hard to disagree with the points made there. Like I said, yeah, for me, 100% right up there with what you said, Charlie, one of Europe's best right now. And the things that go under the radar, things that maybe doesn't always get picked up on TV, as you mentioned, a couple of people in the chat have mentioned, the communication with the back line and command in the box and everything else that you see her do as well. Yeah, 100%. Stellar performance as well. Very, very quickly on this one question to the panel in regards to fullbacks. Do we buy one or promote one of the from the youth, or do we buy two new fullbacks? Barry's gone, so Charlie, I'll throw that to you first.
I think fullback is somewhere we need to be looking. I think there's clearly not quite the competition there either, is there, for places, because we've had to play a centre back there when one of our fullbacks is out injured. I also think the gulf. I know Man United Women's Academy is probably the best in the country, but I still think at the moment there is still too much of a gulf between academy football and senior football. So to just promote someone in, unless it's the last resort, is probably a bit of a mistake. I would still have some development players in and around it so they're getting that experience, but I think we need to go out and buy and pay money for another fullback. And if it's one as a backup, fine. But if we can go out and find one better than what we've got, even better. That's what you should always be looking for, I suppose.
For me, the really interesting thing was, you know, Martha Harris went, Kirsty Smith went, and we brought in Leah Tissier and to Nkara, and we know as well that Diane Caldwell went as well. So we were in a situation where we thought, all right, he's brought in one fullback, he's brought in one centre back. And actually, at the moment, he seems to have brought in two centre-backs and no full-backs whilst letting two go. So, yeah, 100%. We need, if Mayer is going to be more of a centre-back, then we 100% need another full-back. And he said that himself when asked by Jamie Spencer of 90 minutes, get on there again, follow that man. 100%. He asked that question and Skinner said, yep, we need full-backs, but you can't windows. So he concentrated on the attack first of all because it needed to score goals, and you know, funnily enough, everyone has decided to score goals. It's almost as if they took it personally and went, well, you ain't just got to just rely on them. So brilliant. That's what did I not say that? That's exactly what I said. Martha Harris and Kirsty Smith, didn't I? I did say that, didn't I? Yeah. TJ, clean year, waxed out sunshine. Come on. You're better than that.
Right, let's do our player of the match then. I'll come to the poll in a second. I want to hear what each of you, or if you have voted or if you haven't, what you would have voted. Barry, I'll come to you first. In fact, no, I'll come to Charlie first because me and you, Barry, we were on the watchdog yesterday and heard other people. So, Charlie, I'll come to you first. Who was your player of the match from yesterday?
She never gives the ball away, so I'm going to go Leah Galton. The reason I'm going Leah Galton is brilliantly taken goal. I love that. Took a few players on as well. Good assist from her, so different facet to a game, winning a header. What's up, Barry?
The way that Andy Slater's having a go at me.
Okay. And also, I think it was at some point in the game, there was some subs happening, about 1,000 of them. We've gone from no subs to thousands. And again, she slotted in at left back once again and did an absolute job there. I think she was incredible, making really good runs, creating opportunities for others, pressed really well, worked really hard with Parris as a bit of a front two when we were defending to press the opposition. I thought she was just incredible. But it could have been any of the four and more, but she was just the one for me that was really key yesterday.
Well, I managed to have 12 votes. I'd had 12 votes on this particular.
What?
I had 12 votes. Number 1 was Hayley Ladd. Number 2 was Hayley Ladd. Number 3 was, and so on and so on. Honestly, I thought she was superb, so I voted for Hayley Ladd, as I said yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I can't remember who I said yesterday, but I will say Hayley Ladd now anyway.
Yeah, I love how surprised she always looks when she does something good. It's like, Hayley, you often do good things. She's like, that was me. Guys, that was me.
I'm Hayley, that's me. She's talking about me, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought the goal and the assist. I know that we're saying Galton there with the same thing. She got a goal and assist, but I just think it wasn't just that. She was dictating in the centre of the park. You know, she worked really well with Zellum. She linked. We absolutely do, Andy. Yeah. God bless you all. But yeah.
But no,
it's not a world that has buttons, though, is it? That's the problem. But yes, I thought she was superb. Dictated it, worked really well, and that's massive. So really proud of her for that.
No, 100% agree with that. Yeah, I think we discussed this a little bit earlier on in terms of the centre-back situation and where Maya is. I don't think it's more on Mark. I'd look more towards where the player wants to play first, I think, on that one. But yeah, there is definitely a discussion to be made as to fullbacks when Honor is out. Yeah, for me, it was Hayley Ladd. I think close second, Leah, and then Mary or Maria, I think I would have gone for in that order. But you guys have voted. 56% of you have said Hayley Ladd, so she does win this week's player of the match poll. 20% went Leah, 16% went Parris, and only 8% went for Mary, so not too many on that one. I can see Ellie's reciting the whole Hayley Ladd song in the comments, so I'll let her go off on that one.
I'll finish. She can't just stop at number 6. I expect that to be completed, Ellie. 12 lines you've been given now.
Going for Leah Galton there. Just before we wrap this one up, I will just bring up, because we have finally got a new leader at the top of the predictions league. So I thought, why not? Let's bring the table up, because Charlie is no longer at the top. So after game week 5, TJ, who is in the comments, is now on to the top step. Robin second. Charlie has dropped to third. Even though I've dropped out of the top 10. Barry has replaced me within it.
Boom!
So there's quite a lot of movement on that one. But congrats, TJ. You are at the top for the time being. So enjoy it while it lasts, because I'm sure Charlie will.
Well done, TJ, and well done, Ellie, for finishing the song.
Did she finish it? There we go. Look at that.
She has, yeah. She made it all the way to number 12. Today's episode of All for United is brought to you by number 12 and the letter E.
There we are. Right, we'll wrap it up there then. We have got a lot of shows planned over the next 10 days or so. So this week, so there won't be a show now tomorrow. We have postponed that. It's not cancelled. It's just postponed to next Tuesday. A tactical special where we've got a tactical analyst on who's going to look at the games against Chelsea over recent years and also some other games as well and really understand Mark Skinner's tactics from that review. So that's now next Tuesday. Barry, you are back on Wednesday for a fans forum, which should be good. So make sure you tune in for that one. No show on Thursday, but we'll be back on Friday for the Chelsea preview, which obviously is the big one, the big game that everyone's looking for. We've got our Chelsea fans all lined up and ready to go on that one. So make sure you tune in because I'm sure they've got a lot to say. So we're going to need some United fans in the comments to balance
everyone.
Hopefully there might be a guest appearance in that.
Indeed.
One to tune in for. Definitely one to tune in for.
I've just remembered. Yes, so there is potentially a little cameo. We had a cameo, well, 2 cameos yesterday.
Who from? Rachel Williams?
We might have a very, very special
tried to get Rachel Williams, but it's better.
Oh.
So there we are. Joe, appreciate your comments. And also after the video, I have to say, Joe leaves an awful lot of comments on videos afterwards. So really appreciate those. I love chatting with you afterwards. Anyone else wants to chat with us afterwards, you can follow us on our Twitter handles. They're all on screen now. Or follow Wolf United. Tweet us your opinions. We want to hear all kinds of views and opinions on all things United, really. The final comment I'll just bring up there. So showing your age, Barry.
Charlie always looks confused. He's never sure what's coming out of my mouth.
I don't think anyone.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
I know, right?
Anything could happen.
Tell me about it. Apparently, it killed me off halfway through this show.
Well, it's your own fault.
So there we are. So plenty of shows to look forward to. Make sure you check out yesterday's vlog if you haven't already seen it. If you just tune in now because the viewers have just spiked all of a sudden, make sure you rewind, go and watch it from the start. We spoke about everything from yesterday's game. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. We're top of the league. Everything's great, and we'll see you all very soon.